The Wusthof Classic versus the Wusthof Gourmet. Let's break down their similarities and their differences, getting started with the much shorter list, which would be their similarities. Both of these knives are made in Solingen, Germany. The blades are constructed of high carbon, stain-resistant stainless steel, and the handles are both triple riveted and made of POM, which is polyoxymethylene, which is basically an engineered material that is near indestructible and does not change its shape or form based off of the moisture or humidity content where you live. They're gonna hold their shape and last a very long time. Now let's dive into the differences, which is a much longer list. The Wusthof Classic is a fully forged knife, meaning that all of the metal on here, except for the rivets in the handle, is one single piece from the tip all through the bolster into the butt of the knife. The bolster of the Wusthof Classic goes all the way down along the choil up into the heel of the blade. The Wusthof Gourmet is what's called a stamped knife. So think of a giant hole puncher that is in this shape. It stamps down and cuts this out of a giant sheet of steel, and then the blade is ground down to taper off into the edge, and it's sharpened from there. The Gourmet does not have a bolster, but what's interesting is that the shape of the handle, the way it flares up and out into the choil, it looks very similar to the Icon series. You can see the way the Icon, the full steel, merges out into the choil, but is still considered a Demi bolster because it doesn't go to the edge of the knife. So yes, although the Gourmet does not have a bolster because of the shape of the handle, it has a bolster-like feel to it. The Wusthof Classic has a 58 Rockwell hardness, while the Gourmet comes in at 56. Although these are both made with the same type of steel, the forging process of the Classic is why it has a harder Rockwell. Wusthof describes the Gourmet as full tang, but there's definitely a difference in the handle. As you can see, the metal of the tang is not exposed on the inside of the handle of the Gourmet and is cut off halfway through the butt of the knife. So at Cutlery More, we are basically describing this as a partial full tang. And don't think of this as a negative. What's interesting about the construction of the Gourmet without the bolster and without the extra metal that wraps all the way around the inside of the handle is this is now Wustof's lightest 8-inch chef's knife, coming in at 6.5 ounces versus the Classic, which is at 9.2, or the Demi Classic, which comes in at 7.7 ounces. And finally, what I would consider to be the biggest difference in the sense of feel and potentially performance of these two knives would be how they feel at the pinch grip, which is where you pinch the very base of the blade with your thumb and pointer finger, and then let your other 3 fingers wrap around. This is how the majority of cooks and chefs and proficient home cooks are taught and do hold their knife. You actually get a lot more control over your blade holding it like this compared to holding it like this at the handle. So what's interesting about the Wusthof Classic is although it is technically a better constructed knife, when you're at the pinch grip, the full bolster tends to rub on the inside of your middle finger and can sometimes be a little bit uncomfortable, especially if you're prepping for long periods of time. Now, it doesn't mean that it can't be done. I have my 10-inch Wusthof Classic full bolster that I've had for well over a decade that I use for a very long time, and I definitely got used to the feel. But I can say that for the Gourmet, the lack of bolster or lack of full bolster, I know we compared it to the Icon, the total shape at the bottom of the blade and the top of the handle is definitely much more comfortable at the pinch grip. Now, let's say that you want the best of both worlds, then you're in luck because that is what the Wusthof Classic Demi bolster provides. You get everything that comes with the Classic except no full bolster. So there you have it, folks. This is the Wusthof Classic and the Wusthof Gourmet. A short list of similarities, a significant list of differences, and now you can decide, is the $70 more worth it for the Classic, or are you good to go with the Gourmet? I'm Chef Brandon with Cutlery & More. Thanks so much for tuning in. Be sure to check out all of our Wusthof knives, including our exclusive collections at cutleryandmore.com.